Instead of saying what you believe in, share what you assume. Have the perspective of assuming instead of believing. Because when you believe in something, you hold on to it, you attach yourself to that belief. But if you assume, then you open yourself to grow. You open yourself to expand and to have a new outlook on something. So one of the things I wanted to share with you today that was on my mind is I was sitting here thinking about my life. And I was doing a comparison of where I used to be and where I am now. And it's a vast difference, y'all. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I live in Hawaii. You know, I don't have a job. I have a family. And I'm always being provided for. I'm always being provided for. Oh, hey, Flute Smart, you've been around for a long time. You calling me that? He called me Nature Girl Fairy. You've been here for a while. And I remember where I came from, and I see where I am now, and I'm just like, damn, how did I make this happen? How did my life unfold into my dream? And it just keeps growing. Things just keeps going to the next level. And you know what it came down to, y'all? I assume that life is going to work out for me. I assume that whatever life throws on my path, it is for my own good. I assume that anything that I endure, it is one of my greatest lessons. Everything. And the difference between me or someone else comes all the way down to perspective. It's how you choose to look at life. And I decided to take on a perspective that will always empower me. That'll always help me remember who I am. That'll always have the perspective of God. That'll always keep me moving forward. A perspective that if I'm down, my perspective is going to rise me up. I've always kept that perspective. And for me, I assume that any situation that I'm in, where if it's pain or suffering, it is to help me remember myself, because pain is the greatest teacher. And suffering is all in the mind. It's how you choose to look at it. Because two people can be in the same situation, and one could be suffering and one could be thriving. So suffering is a state of mind. And I realized that about myself, is that I trust God. I trust God in everything that I do. And I know that God would not place anything in my life that will hurt me. I know that everything that happens in my life is for my own good. It doesn't matter what the other person did. It only matters on who I become in the situation. And because I take on that perspective, life just continues to unfold, and I continue to expand. And all the desires in my heart, I continue to attract and receive them. Because I realize I don't have time to be worried about what you did and what you didn't do. I don't got time for that, because I don't control whether or not you're going to be a good person, whether or not, you're going to hold your own self accountable. I don't got time for that. I can't control that. But what I can control is me. And what God helped me remember in all the adversity that I've experienced in my life, with all the situations that I experienced in my life, I have the power to choose what I want. I have the power to remember that God is in me, that I am God and God is me. And I can handle anything. And failure or hurt can be one of my greatest lessons and my stepping stone if I choose to look at it that way. And that's what I've always done. And I know that this perspective isn't for everyone. I know the way that I look at my life and look at the obstacles and challenges in my life as lessons or situations to help me remember. I know that everybody doesn't look at it like that. I know that some people can't, and they just ain't going to, and that's okay for them. But for me, I choose to have an abundant life and an abundant perspective because I assume that everything is going to work out for me. I assume that God knows what it was doing when it created me in the image of itself. I knew it. I was like, there's nothing, when I say ain't nothing greater than me, there ain't nothing greater than God. So there ain't nobody outside of me that's greater than me. Nothing. And I keep that in my heart at all times. Especially when I'm dealing with people. People will let you down. People will let you down, and you better remember that. Expect that. Expect when you get into a relationship with anyone, they are going to let you down because it is God is here to lift you up. It is not the responsibility of people to make you believe in who you think you are or make you remember who you think you are. Yes, we are portals, but I realize it is God that I trust. It is God who I emulate. It is God that I breathe in and breathe out. That's it. And along my journey, I almost forgot that. On my journey. Because when I came into the I am God state, I almost forgot that I came from God, but I am God. God is everything. And I almost disconnected myself from everything that I am. And I got to the point where I didn't even want to use the word God. I want to say the universe, or I want to say the light, or I want to say the source, because I realized I had a wound when it came to God because I didn't trust God. Something within me disconnected myself from God to the point I couldn't even say its name. And I assume that's the name that of all that's in existence. But if it's not, I'm open to myself to know what that name is. But when you say God, everybody knows what that is. And it's just a word that we use to exchange the infinite resonance within our souls of what all things are and the purpose of all things. So I use the word God, and I continue to use the word God because I know, I trust it. It is because of God that I'm still here. And I know it. Everything I went through, God was like, I put you there because somewhere along the line, you disconnected from me. You forgot who you were and me in the process. So I have to put you in the situation to show you yourself, to show you that you can, whatever you go through, you have the choice to get out of that. But what do? We hold on to that thing that limits us. We hold on to that thing that hurts us. It causes us pain because we stop forgetting to trust God. We hold on to that morsel and not see what in front of us is a full meal that God said, this is for you. Keep going. Yes, you went through that. Yes, that happened to you, but keep going. There's so much more for you. But I had to put you in the situation to wake you up because you forgot. You over here sleeping on your own self. You looking over here, looking for the light in others, and the light was already with you. And you're going to get mad at them because you forgot who you was. You're going to seek revenge and try to stop them. You need to just, for what? For what? I always say, for what? Why am I putting energy into this that does not serve me? Why am I putting energy into something that causes me pain when I can put the energy to what gives me life? And that's why I keep going. No matter how hard it gets, no matter what people say about me, I keep going because I know God. I know God. I trust it. God is in everything. Everything is God. Everything. So anything that I go through, anything that you go through, you got to ask God, what is it that you need me to see in this situation? What is this pain that has been presented to me? What is it that I need to see within myself that I'm not able to see or learn? All of us came here with our own karma. All of us has karma. So I know you probably may look at the world and be like, why did that happen to that person? Like, you see the suffering in the world and you want to do something about it. You want to stop it. You want to stop the hate. You want to stop everything that doesn't make you feel good, right? You want to stop all of that. But the thing that you want to consider is maybe that is the karma of that soul that has to play out. And the karma of that soul is here to show you what not to do. Because in this world that we live in, this reality we call world that we live in, there has to be a distinction. There has to be a duality to separate us from the oneness so we can feel. Our nervous system needs to feel things and see things and taste things. And if everything was just all the same, there wouldn't be a reason to even be here. It's like, okay. So there has to be a distinction. And sometimes you might be on that side of joy and peace. And other times you might be on the other side of pain and hurt, and suffering. But it's all for your own good if you choose to look at it that way. And I just decided to keep the perspective that helps me remember that God is in control, and that I trust God, and I know things is for my own good, and that nobody don't owe me nothing, and I don't have to stop nobody from doing nothing, because God is greater. God is more powerful than anything that we can imagine. So just decide to trust God